I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
So I've got a buddy, and I talk to him all the time, and he's in recovery too. And he puts so much ownership on the way other people see him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I keep telling him, I was like, hey, if you don't love yourself, how can you expect these others to love you? And you keep trying to make these people love you, and you haven't fixed what's going on with you. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be a problem for a lot of people, is that I know I did that. I mean, I had so many people that would love me and laughed at me and all that stuff. But at home, I wasn't in love with myself. It was just a dark place. I can tell you right now, I love myself more than I have in a long time. And it took a long time to get there. And I'm still moving forward. But I can only worry about me. If I don't love me, how can I expect anyone else to love me?
I think that's a great way to look at it. I think the question for your buddy or for anyone who feels that way is, ask yourself in all honesty, what difference would it really make in your life if everyone loved you? Like, in the end, it might make life pleasant, but you're not really going to be any happier. What it really comes down to is, do you love and respect yourself? Do you, at the end of the day, when you go to bed, do you feel good about who you are and what you've done? And that might mean setting some boundaries with other people and making hard decisions. It usually does. But in the end, if other people like us or love us or approve of us, that makes life a little easier and a little more pleasant. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't do anything for how you feel inside. Because once, for you, we've talked about this before, once the laughs stop and you go home and you're alone, how did that feel back in those days?
Empty, broken.
Yeah. And that was because you have always had this talent since you were very young of making other people laugh, and that's where a lot of your energy went, and not enough energy as you grew up went into how you felt about yourself. And there's a term in personality psychology called dependency. And that is where a person becomes overly dependent on feedback from others.
I was addicted to the laughter.
Yeah, in order to 100%. Know how to feel about themselves. Like, if I'm not, it's like Michael Scott on The Office. Like, he has to be liked all the time, right? And that's what a dependent personality trait is like. So they're always seeking approval and positive feedback from other people so that they can feel good, but it's a lot like a bucket with holes in the bottom. That sort of praise and positive feedback just drains out, and you're left with an empty bucket at the end of the day.
Nobody wants an empty bucket.
You're always trying to fill it up every day. And what you have to do is say, you know what, if I'm doing good stuff, I'm probably getting enough positive feedback in life, right? But the reality is, I have to feel good about who I am, what I'm doing. Am I willing to even upset other people in order to accomplish the things that I know are true to me, right?
Love it.
Like, can you say no to something? Like you mentioned, back in the day, you probably closed out all the parties.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And I went to the after party.
And you were the after party, right? But nowadays, can you upset somebody and go home at 11:45 because you're like, you know what, I've kind of hit my limit. I'm ready. I feel good about this. I'm going to go home, get a good night's rest, get up and go to the gym in the morning. That's what I know is best for me. And if your friends are upset that you're leaving,
not my problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that's self-love and you're going to get enough positive feedback over time from those guys, and if they're real friends, they get it, right? But in the old days, when you were more dependent on other people, you probably would have kept going. You don't want to be the first to leave the party.
Never was.
Yeah.
Let me ask you another question real quick. I know this is kind of a long podcast. We don't have a guest today, so I'm kind of the guest. But I'm kind of going through a funk right now. How do you deal with the fact that you can't help everybody?
So is this coming from your job?
From my job and from the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to help everybody. I mean, so many people reach out on Facebook, and I want to be able to help. And sometimes I give my advice, sometimes I help, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But
why do you think that's? I mean, so just summarize what you're saying. You've gotten into this better place in life. 2019 was a great year.
Mm-hmm.
You're more solid with your relationships than you've ever been before. But you find yourself in a different position, don't you? You're not just the comedian anymore. You're somebody that people turn to for real help with real problems.
Yeah.
And you've found that, oh my gosh, these people that are asking for help, they're not all getting better.
Yeah.
And I can't always help them, and I don't always know what to say.
I get parents that reach out, and I go, I want my kid to do what you did. I get husbands reach out and go, hey, what did you do? And I'm trying to help them out, and I'm telling them what I did. And you know, someone will call me back and go, well, that didn't work. And I take it personal.
Yeah.
And I go, well, well, I'm sorry. What else can we do? And then I find myself offering more than I can give just because I want to do everything I can.
Right. And you're kind of a giver personality. And yeah. So how do you deal with that? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you have to allow it's really hard. I'll just from my point of view, from my job.
It's like being a parent to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a lot like being a parent to everybody. You know, I can reflect on in graduate school, people who've gone to graduate school in different subjects know you usually have a mentor in your graduate program. And my mentor was a guy named Darwin Dorr. We called him Deke. Deke, yeah, because he said he was a deacon when he was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. And Deke, we were having this very same conversation when I had first started to learn how to do therapy, and
because you want to save the world, you're going to help people, you're going to do amazing things.
Well, and I think for me, it's you know, when you're intimately talking with somebody and they're really opening up and sharing, it's a bond. You create a bond, a connection, even over the Facebook questions that you and I'll get. You know, you feel this outpouring of empathy for people. And I remember Deke saying to me, he's like, your job is to be a resource and to help people find their way, but you have to realize it's always their own path. And in this moment, they may need to struggle or they may be struggling. And all you are there is you're kind of like a road sign. You're somebody who can give help, give advice, but you can't drive their car for them. They have to find their own path. They have to find their own way. And when you lose sight of that, you'll get all tied up in knots inside, and you'll start to offer more than you can really come through on, and you'll take on responsibility that needs to be theirs. But when they have the responsibility, then they're the ones that can own their health, their improvement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when a therapist or a person in your position starts to do more than the person is doing, then if they were to get better, they don't own it the same way that they should, and they often relapse or their improvement doesn't last. If you are a guide, a resource, if you're somebody who is, I hate to say cheerleader, but somebody who points them in the right direction and encourages them, but they're the ones that make the change, then they own that change. And that is what sustains change over time, is they own it. It's their change. Yeah, Casey was there, or this doctor or therapist or parent or somebody was there for them, but they own the change. And that's healthy. That's real. And so that's what you have to keep in mind is when I cross that line and try to do for them what they should be doing for themselves, then I'm actually robbing them of that experience of owning their own change and becoming the person that they want to be.
It's the story of an American held in a dark Venezuelan prison.
Then all of a sudden they all kind of lined up. They pointed their guns at me. And this is the point where I thought, I'm going to die today.
I'm Becky Bruce. I spent a year working on Hope in Darkness, which now has more than 2 million downloads. Find it on kslpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And while you were talking, something popped in my head, and it often does. there's so many times in the recovery world where you hear somebody go, "You saved my life. You saved my life."
Yeah.
And the thing that popped in my head is, I want to go, "No, I didn't save your life. You saved your life."
Right.
And that's what we want to do, is have you save your life, because I can't do it for you. Yeah. I can show you what I did. I can show you where I went, and I show you the things that I know. But if you don't implement them and you don't do them,
right.
It's you've got to save your life.
I think it's so great when somebody says something like that, because I think what they mean is, they want to thank you for being part of that. But I think it's important for us to remember that, no, we didn't save their life. They did it. They did the work. And sometimes it's appropriate to point that out to them.
Yeah.
But to also thank them for letting us be part of the process. I mean, we've gotten some great feedback just on the podcast, on the help
I've
that
seen
we've
so
been.
many highs and so many lows, and I try to focus on the highs and the great outcomes and the great success stories and the people that have come on and shared their recovery. Those are so positive, but there are so many out there that it doesn't end well for, and we've also shared those stories.
Yeah, and life's a process too. I mean, we're seeing people at a certain little snippet in their journey, in their story, and that's not always. We might see that they're capable of more, or if they would just do this or that, then it would get better. But we also have to step back and look at the big picture and realize this is part of their journey, and right now might be kind of an ugly part of it. But we'll keep trying to be available and helpful and provide guidance. But people, you use the term skin in the game. I mean, we all have to. If I'm going to meet my goals of getting healthier this year, I mean, that's all on me. You're going to
have to sweat a little.
I'm going to have to do it. I think nobody makes real progress or success in life without the benefit of other people. Like, Michael Jordan had Phil Jackson as his coach. And, everybody has other people. None of us make success all on our own.
No.
However, we do have to have the skin in the game. And so I'm grateful for this outlet, for working with you and being able to talk to people here in the studio or online and provide them with phone numbers and resources and stories that hopefully inspire them and comfort them. But you and I have to keep in mind that in the end, we can't do we can't make the change for a person.
That's right. And so that's what we want to do in 2020 is keep the conversation going. And that's what this podcast is all about. So if you have a story and you want to share it, you can reach to us through Facebook, Instagram. You can email me at casey@projectrecoverypodcast.com. And just keep it going and keep the conversation going. I think we are doing amazing things, and 2020 is going to be a bigger and better year, and I'm very excited for it. And I'm excited to be doing it with you, Dr. Matt, and even Josh over there. Look at that hair.
He's got the flow going. He's got the flow.
He just dabbed.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I was going to talk about?
What's that?
So we'll end it this way. We need to talk about my Lululemon pants.
Oh, boy. Come on.
Or my mom getting roofied in Mexico.
Well, you know which story I'd rather hear.
So here's the deal. My mom lives in Mexico 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And I talked to her just today. I was driving in, wishing her a Happy New Year and talking to her.
Because C-Money checks in with his mom.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, C-Money does. I got a C-Money plaque from my door from my girlfriend's sister.
I saw it. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I did send it to you, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thanks, Tiff. Yep, C-Money. She got money wrapped around it.
Yep.
I told my girlfriend, I said, we're going to put this on your front door. She goes, no, we're not. We're going to put this on your door.
Somewhere in the back.
So my mom's down in Mexico, and the story, I mean, I was scared when she was telling me this.
Yeah.
But should be a lesson to people out there. Never leave your drinks uncovered when you're at a bar.
Right.
So my mom's down there, and this guy from Scotland is trying to pick up on my mom. I can't do a Scottish accent, but if I could, this story would be even better.
Yeah.
And so my mom was like, this guy kept, was like, hey, how are you? And she's like, oh, I'm fine. She's like, well, let's party. My mom's 72. I think my mom's idea of
she's a nice looking lady.
She's not Netflix and chill. She's Netflix and Metamucil. You know what I mean? She's like, yeah.
I hope she's not listening.
Yeah. And so my mom was like, this guy was really pushy. And I was there with my friends, and he kept trying to buy me a drink, and I told him I don't want to drink. And so I was going to go home, and she goes, the guy came up to me and says, I got you one drink and then you can go home. And so my mom took the drink and she said she drank half of it. And then she goes, I just wasn't feeling good, so I just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And so my friends were there. Hey, we're going to follow you home because we saw that creepy Scottish dude try to hit on you. We just want to make sure you get home.
I love that he's Scottish.
Yeah. And I said, well, what did he tell you, Mom? And he's like, well, he said he had a room at some sleazy motel and wanted me to come check it out. But I was like, no way. I'm not going there. And I was like, good, Mom.
Right.
Yeah. And so she goes, they followed her home. And then she got home. It wasn't a roofie, but she goes, Casey, I couldn't sleep. I was just staring at the ceiling. And I was like, well, it had to be some sort of upper.
Something.
And she goes, so I spent the New Year staring at the ceiling. And I was like, oh, Mom.
That was on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
Man, that's too bad.
Yeah. But I was talking to her and she goes, have you ever heard of that? And I go, Mom, yeah, it's a big deal. Like if you're at a club and you're going to the bathroom, have your friends watch your drink, or you take your coaster and put it on top of your drink. And bartenders are good about watching that stuff. But I mean, there's just some crazy people out there.
Yeah.
And for my mom, she's telling me this and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. How did you feel? Like your mom? Did you feel kind of protective?
Yeah. Well, because I said, well, so does the guy live down there because it's a community? And I was like, because if so, let's, we'll go knock on his door. She goes, no, he was just a tourist.
My thought was we call the police. Your thought is we're going to go knock on his door.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm going to knock on his door and go, hey, you know my mom?
Yeah.
That wasn't a good idea.
A little Ogden coming out in you.
A lot of Ogden. I got 2 brothers. We'd have been down there on the next flight, but... It was,
it might be easy to find a Scottish guy in Mexico,
right?
Right?
How would you do that?
I don't know.
Just yell 4?
Maybe.
Because he's a golfer, right?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it was funny.
I think this is probably a good place to end the podcast.
Well,
talked about my
mom
getting
Lululemon
roofied
next time?
Yeah.
Okay.
They got these ABC pants.
I do want to know, and I don't. It's like a train wreck.
You know what the ABC stands for?
No, what?
Anti-ball crushing. It's a legit deal. It's
That's
on the
a thing?
tag.
That's a real
they're
thing?
ABC pants.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what.
They work?
Success.
Yeah?
They're awesome.
You out there doing your yoga in your ABC pants?
Only got 1 pair right now.
Okay.
I'm a Lululemon kind of guy.
I'm going to challenge you to wear those next time.
Done. No. Done.
Josh is asking you not
I'm
to.
in. Hey, if you know somebody who needs some help, have them do what I did and give Pinnacle Recovery Center a call. Wishing you nothing but success in the 2020. We love you very much. Dr. Matt?
I'm going to put a plug in for the Safe Utah app.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier in the show, we gave a suicide hotline, and the Safe Utah app is a great thing for parents to download and make sure their kids have it on their phone.
2020, the year the millennial buys a house. That's Josh back there. Thank you very much. Project Recovery is a KSL podcast.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.